and gentlemen, welcome to The Drive. I am Cody Sprinter, and this is my partner in crime, Lucas Rojas, and this is our debut episode. I hope you guys are having a good week so far, and this show is to bring you guys everything, analysis, updates, all that good stuff in the world of the National Football League. Lucas, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, man. First day of September. Football is right around the corner. I know we have one more week for the preseason to conclude. And then next week, it's here. NFL football, week 1. It's crazy how fast, days go by. And, the thing about football, it's so fast-paced, week 1. I mean, I know people be like, week 1, well, what's week 1? But every week in the NFL means something because it's only 16 games, 16 weeks. So every game pretty much counts. Even the preseason counts because in the preseason, there's performances and everything, man. But I'm great to be doing this show here today with you, Cody. And, we're going to be legitimate, guys. This is going to be around throughout the entire season of the NFL. Even after the season's over with, we're probably going to change our format up after the season. But throughout the season, we're pretty much going to be giving you guys coverage of everything going on in the NFL, not just with games, but controversial news, top breaking storylines, headlines, all of that good stuff. Cody, take us into what else we could expect here on the drive.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about some fantasy football. We'll preview the upcoming action for that week in the NFL and also review the previous week's games as well. So, yeah, you can expect post-game analysis, game previews, some of the top players to watch out for in fantasy football, player rankings, yeah, and also the latest news, free agent signings, trade rumors, yeah, all that kind of stuff we're going to cover here on The Drive. But yeah, we also have a presence on social media as well. We have a Facebook and Twitter page. Our Facebook page is facebook.com/thedrivefootball. Go ahead and give us a like on that. And the Twitter page is @thedrive_YT. So yeah, go follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. And you are watching this on YouTube. But before we get into the show and discuss, the topics that we're going to discuss, I want to introduce you guys to us. Like I said, my name is Cody. I'm 24 years old. I live in Ohio. And my favorite NFL team is the Baltimore Ravens. And as far as my favorite player of all time, I would say Ray Lewis. In my opinion, he's the greatest middle linebacker of all time. And my current favorite player, I would have to say Calvin Johnson. I really like his style of play, and he's just phenomenal to watch on game day. All right, I'll take it over to Lucas.
What's up, guys? So as you already know, you can see it on the screen as well. My name is Lucas Rojas. I live in Yonkers, New York. And, my favorite team, of course, I'm a New York Giants fan. I by no means will ever like the New York Jets or the Buffalo Bills or any of those other New York teams. My favorite player, that's actually interesting now that you bring it up because I've never really considered having a favorite player in the NFL. But there is, somebody I've always looked up to that's always influenced me when I watch football. And, his name is Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, when I first started watching him, he was with the Colts and he was doing some terrific stuff with the Colts organization. Many times I would watch games of his and, he would make comebacks from behind. He was a clutch quarterback. So Peyton Manning was kind of the guy that basically did it for me. And of course, Eli Manning as well. So if I had to pick favorite players, I guess the Manning brothers would be it. But yeah, I've been a fan of the NFL since probably 2009 now. I first, when I started watching off, it was a casual thing, but over the years, the NFL has gained my love and, my passion to watch every week because, these games are just entertaining and it's become such a popular sport in America that if anybody was to tell you that the NFL wasn't their favorite sport, I look at them and say they're ridiculous because NFL is entertaining. I don't know how you cannot like to sit down every Sunday and watch, your favorite team's play, or even a primetime game. It doesn't even have to be your favorite team, but just like a primetime game could be entertaining as well. When you have like teams like the Broncos and the Patriots playing each other on a Sunday, I mean, come on now, Brady against Manning. That's fun to watch. So I just love the whole concept of like NFL games and big matchups coming up, because you never know what to expect. You could always expect a blowout or an upset from the underdog, disappointing the top seed team or the top rated team. So, I love the NFL because it's unpredictable for that reason.
Man, I've been a football fan all my life pretty much. I mean, I just grew up with it. I played in high school. I just love the sport, man. I mean, yeah, I just can't get enough of it because it's just a fantastic sport all around. And, nowadays, I like to analyze, the game, and I like to look at each player, each team, and just, I kind of like to put myself in the mind of a general manager. Like, if I had control of that team, they'd be so much better than they are right now. But then at the same time, I'm not in the business aspect of the game, I'm trying to understand the business aspect every year, better every year. But yeah, I think I could do a much better job than most of the general managers in the National Football League. No disrespect intended. But yeah, I love the sport. That's one of my passions, I would like to coach one of these days, to be honest, because I think I'd be a great football coach. But yeah, and you mentioned the Manning brothers. Peyton, I've been watching Peyton Manning for years. He's a phenomenal quarterback, a phenomenal human being, one of the best to ever play the game. And last year, I declared him the greatest quarterback of all time because of the body of work that he has put in. It's just amazing. No other quarterback, no other player who has played the game has done what Peyton Manning has done, And Eli Manning, he's done some terrific things as well. He's won 2 Super Bowls in his career. He's competed some big games. So yeah, both the Manning brothers, big time success, so I can see why, those two would be among your favorite players in the NFL.
Yeah, and I tend to look at it from a fan perspective when it comes to like supporting your favorite team rather than being like the general manager, because I always give my Giants hope every year. I always give them a chance. You know me. Every year I'm always saying the Giants have a chance to make the playoffs, and they do because they always have talented guys on their team. So for me, and I know we're getting a little bit off topic here, but for me, the Giants, like, I don't know, I look at that team and I don't think there's ever anything wrong with them. So when I see something wrong, yes, at that point I will act like I'm the GM and I'll say, well, we need this and this player, we need this position to be filled in. But right now, I don't think there's anything wrong with the team as far as like the offense goes, because they have all the wide receivers they need. They have Odell Beckham Jr., they have Victor Cruz returning, they have Larry Donnell, who's a pretty good tight end, and we saw it last year. And they have Eli Manning as a quarterback, who's a decent quarterback. He's not the worst quarterback in the league. He has 2 Super Bowl rings for a reason. And, they have Rashad Jennings as a running back too. And I think they picked up Shane Vereen in the offseason, and we've seen what he's done for the Patriots over the years. So I have no complaints for them as far as offense goes. It's just that offensive line, the protection is always a problem. But even when they have no protection, Eli Manning still wins some games. We've seen it in the playoffs. He hasn't had the best protection in the playoffs with the Giants, but for some reason he's still able to make stuff happen and make plays happen. And back to that catch from 2008 in that Super Bowl against the Patriots. So, he's not always going to be protected, but that doesn't mean that we're going to lose games because, the offensive line is terrible. And I know the defense needs some work, but, whatever. I just always trust my Giants to get the job done. That's just how I am.
I always trust my Ravens to get the job done. I know Joe Flacco, he is the streakiest player in the NFL. He can have hot streaks like no other, and he can have some cold streaks, But at the same time, he does have arguably the best arm in the NFL. That guy can sling a football like no other. He's tremendous when it comes to, throwing the deep ball. But yeah, I mean,
Right.
his accuracy is questionable at times. He makes bad reads at times, but at the same time, he's our quarterback, and as much as he makes me mad at times, I have to stick by him because he's my team's quarterback. And I'm really liking how the offense is going. We got a lot of young players stepping up. Justin Forsett in his second year as our starting running back. I'm really glad that he stepped up and filled those shoes that Ray Rice left behind because he's done tremendous for us. And the defense has some questions, We got a lot of young players stepping into starting positions. But I know Ozzie Newsome. Ozzie Newsome, in my opinion, is the best general manager in the league. And I know that him, Coach Harbaugh, they have definitely, gotten a pretty good team assembled here in Baltimore. So I have no concerns or questions heading into the season when it comes to the Ravens because I know that they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Last year, the Ravens were pretty good. They made the playoffs. My Giants didn't, but, I guess we could talk more about our favorite teams later on. But yeah, man, let's get to the drive.
All right. 1st and 10. Now, this is the segment in the show where we're going to break down the latest news, the latest breaking news from around the NFL. And we're going to start off by talking about the Washington Redskins and their quarterback situation. RG3 is out as the starter and Kirk Cousins is in. Yesterday, head coach Jay Gruden made the decision to pull RG3 as the starter and go with Kirk Cousins as the starting quarterback for 2015. As far as my reaction to this, I'm not surprised because, the whole RG3 situation has been a mess. Washington gave up so much to acquire RG3 in the draft, 3 years ago, and it has not panned out for them at all. And, since that rookie season where RG3 blew up his knee in the playoffs, he has not been the same quarterback, and he's been getting injured. He's been benched for other guys, like last year, he got benched. Well, no, he got injured. Kirk Cousins played the majority of the year. Then Colt McCoy came in, played. And now we come to this season and he gets benched in the preseason in favor of Kirk Cousins. In my opinion, it's time for the Redskins to move on from RG3. It is. It's time. It's been a mess, and the guy can't keep being in Washington and being paid the money that he's being paid, and he's not the starting quarterback. It's just time to move on because this is just going to keep getting worse and worse. And the Redskins have said they have no intention of letting RG3 go. They keep insisting, "Oh, we love Robert. Robert's a great football player." Well, I don't think you love him enough to be your starting quarterback, your franchise QB. It's time to part ways. It's time to move on. Trade him. Do whatever you got to do. But, yeah, it needs to end pretty soon. And as far as Kirk Cousins go, I think he has the potential to be a good quarterback. I really think he does. But at the same time, there was a lot of games where he struggled. And I don't think Jay Gruden is going to be able to do with Kirk Cousins what he did for Andy Dalton when he was the offensive coordinator in Cincinnati. I just don't think it's going to happen. But, yeah, Kirk Cousins does have the potential, but, yeah, I don't think it's going to work out. I really don't think it will because I can see it happening, If he struggles and keeps turning the ball over 6 games in the end of the year, they're either going to turn to Colt McCoy or Robert Griffin III. I just think that's how it's going to go down because this is the history of the Washington Redskins. Point blank. Lucas, what do you think? Do you think that the Redskins are making the right decision here going with Kirk Cousins?
I have to disagree with you on what you said with RG3, and we're wearing black and white for a reason. So let's let's get to it. But RG3, to me, I'm a supporter of Robert Griffin III. I know he hasn't lived up to expectations over the last 2 years, but you got to remember, he was injured in that first season that he got hurt. I blame the Redskins for that because Shanahan and the GM and everybody wanted him to play through the injury because they thought that RG3 was everything for them. They thought that RG3 was bigger than the Redskins. So in that rookie year in 2012, when Robert Griffin went out with an injury, they kept playing him. They kept playing him, and of course he's not going to say no. He's going to say yes because he wants to be the starting quarterback. So they felt like he was the only chance they had at winning any game in the playoffs, and that ultimately resulted in him getting even more hurt and more banged up. And unfortunately, it became longer and longer for him to recover over the next 2 years. I don't fault RG3 at all because I just think he's a victim here. I think the Redskins have been victimizing him. They've been bullying him. I don't think that RG3 is necessarily the problem. I know he's made some comments in the press over the years about how he's better. I think at one point last season he blamed the team. I remember that, like he said something about how the team lost and it wasn't just him. But he's not saying anything wrong there because it takes a whole team to lose a football game, not just him. And on top of what he said a few weeks ago, saying that he's like the best quarterback. Or he could be the best quarterback in the NFL. There's nothing wrong with that either because he has confidence. He has confidence, and you got to have confidence if you're going to be a quarterback in the National Football League. So as far as I'm concerned, RG3 was just showing confidence there. And Jay Gruden, this guy, he's completely just destroyed RG3's reputation. He's made him out to look like a victim, in my opinion. I'm sorry, but I think that RG3 is the quarterback to go with in Washington. To me, this was probably going to be his breakout year. If he was saying those things, he was saying those things for a reason. He probably felt more mentally prepared, physically prepared, and he probably just felt that he was ready this season to bounce back and have a strong outing. But due to Jay Gruden and the Redskins doing him dirty, now we're not going to see RG3 start. We're not going to see him perform, so we don't know how he's going to do at the start of the season. And, Kirk Cousins, he's not that big of an option to go with and replace RG3 because, I'll pull up some statistics here. He has 18 touchdowns, 19 interceptions, and a record of 2-7. So, that's it. Those are his career statistics right there. He has a 2-7 record, 18 touchdowns, 19 interceptions. Is that really the guy you want to rely on going forward in the future for the Washington Redskins? Kirk Cousins, a guy who has more interceptions, one more interception than he does a touchdown. To me, I haven't seen that much from Kirk Cousins to say that, he's a valuable guy to start at quarterback. If it was up to me, I would have gone with Colt McCoy because you saw that performance Colt McCoy had last season against the Dallas Cowboys. And I think that was a Monday Night Football game. And he showed potential. And to me, that was his best game in his career. Not only his best game in his career, but I think that Kirk Cousins hasn't played a good game like that at all in his career. I don't know. Have you recalled the time where Kirk Cousins performed a game from start to finish with just amazing outing and amazing passes and all that? I saw it from Colt McCoy. I saw it on my television, but I haven't seen that from Kirk Cousins at all. So, yeah, Kirk Cousins has probably played one quarter where he did good, but he hasn't played a whole game where he's done good, in my opinion. So, to me, Colt McCoy, he's the guy that they should be starting right now in Washington instead of Kirk Cousins. But once again, the Washington Redskins, it's like what you said earlier, they're just a complete mess. That organization is always going to fail every season. I'm not even trying to be biased because I'm a Giants fan, but they're just terrible. Every season there's something wrong over there that they can't figure something out, whether it's the quarterback controversy or the coach being fired. There's always a problem up there in Washington.
Yeah, there is. And I think it all starts with Dan Snyder because, Dan Snyder is the only one that's keeping RG3 in the building right now.
Right.
Because I'm pretty certain at this point in time that most of the guys in the front office want RG3 gone. But Dan Snyder is the one that does not want to part ways with RG3. And Kirk Cousins, you're right. I mean, his career statistics are not impressive at all. But Jay Gruden, his reasoning for making this decision was that Kirk Cousins gives us the best chance to win going forward. I think it's a lot deeper than that. I think it's just a matter of the Redskins wanting to move on from RG3. So this is their plan. If they can get a trade partner for RG3, then they'll trade him. If not, then they'll probably just keep him on the roster for this year and then maybe possibly cut him in the offseason. We'll have to see.
Well, as far as RG3 is concerned, there's a few teams that are interested in him. I don't know what team could be available for RG3 or what team could he fit with in the system and everything. There's talks of possibly the New York Jets wanting to do like a trade or something. I think the Rams were in the conversation. There's like a few teams. Even the Cowboys, I heard, came up. And there's just a few teams that are like interested in RG3 if he goes from Washington. But again, I think they're making a mistake because they invested so much in RG3 in the draft a few years ago. Remember how many draft picks they lost due to wanting to move up and get RG3? Remember that. So to me, like, the payoff has been a failure. If you're gonna have Robert Griffin III, be invested as a high draft pick, be valued as a high draft pick, then you gotta make him play. You can't bench him after everything you lost for him. I mean, it's just sad in my opinion.
It is. It totally is because, like you said, they invested so much into Robert, sacrificing 2 first-round picks, one for that year in the draft and then the next year after that. Yeah, that was definitely a lot of sacrifice they made for him, and then this is how, this is what they get in return for their investment, disappointment. But at the same time, it hasn't been all of RG3's fault, because like you said, he's been injured. He hasn't been playing 100%. And plus he changed his style of playing. He went from being the dual threat that he was known for to trying to be something that he's not. And that's being a classic drop back pocket passer. That is not who RG3 is. He's a dual threat. And he got away from that, I mean, just imagine Russell Wilson, saying, you know what, I'm not going to play, the style of football that I'm accustomed to playing. I want to be a drop back classic pocket passer like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. How well do you think Russell Wilson would do?
Not exactly.
But that's just my point, because, nowadays the dual threat quarterback is what's hot, Colin Kaepernick, Russell Wilson, like I mentioned not too long ago, those guys right there are the 2 top dual threats in the game right now, and Cam Newton. Those 3 guys are who they are for a reason, and they're all.
Wait. So you're saying Colin Kaepernick is a very good quarterback?
Well, I'm not saying he's a good quarterback. I'm saying he's a good player. He's a natural playmaker. He has a nose for the big play. But it's not with his arm. It's with his legs. That is Colin Kaepernick's strength, is his legs, not his arm. And it's the same thing for Cam Newton. And in some cases, it's the same thing for Russell Wilson. But the difference with Russell Wilson is that he's a better thrower than Colin Kaepernick and Cam Newton.
I see your point there. I don't think Colin Kaepernick is like a great player because last season we saw him, do some bad things. He had bad clock management on the field. Many times during the season he looked lost out there. I think Colin Kaepernick was a bust. He just had one good season with the 49ers, which was the 2012 season, I believe, where he went to the Super Bowl. And then the 2013 season, he had a pretty good, well, not a good season, but like a decent season as well. But then last year, he just, he kind of just fell flat. And I don't think he's going to have a good season this year either. But, But I definitely see your point there about, all these mobile quarterbacks that depend more on the legs as opposed to the arm. A few years ago, we thought that was a new transition for quarterbacks, and that we were going to see this revolution where all quarterbacks now need to have mobility in order to be good. But, that quickly went away because after one season, immediately quarterbacks went back to passing and eventually the running and the mobility slowed down and it was no longer a factor. I think last season you didn't see quarterbacks, you never heard like a highlight of a quarterback running 40 yards or whatever. You just didn't hear that last season. So I think that transition has died right away. RG3 is certainly not doing it anymore. Russell Wilson does it when he needs to do it. Cam Newton has become more of a passer than, a runner over the last few years. And Colin Kaepernick, he loves to run, but, one of these days, if he relies too much on running, he's gonna get hurt like RG3 did. So he's got to do something to adjust his play and become more of a passer. But yeah, I'm definitely with you on this. I think quarterbacks need to throw. I don't care if they have mobility. If they have mobility, okay, that's a plus. But throwing is always the main thing in the National Football League, especially if you're a quarterback. I don't care what anyone says. You're not going to win games or you're not going to win a Super Bowl if you just rely on your legs, period.
Right. And that's the big thing about Tim Tebow. And God forgive me for praising Tim Tebow, but man, that's the biggest gripe that people have with him, is that he can't throw. He can run. He can do all kinds of cool things. He's an athlete. He's a tremendous athlete. But when it comes to throwing the ball, you're hoping for a miracle. I mean, he's gotten better. I mean, I've seen the preseason highlights. He's gotten better with his throwing motion, his throwing mechanics. All that stuff has improved. But is it enough for me to say that Tim Tebow is a great passer? No. Yeah. So if you're going to be a quarterback in a National Football League, you have to have an arm, you have to have accuracy, and you have to work on the things that make an NFL quarterback a success, and it's, I don't know, like, the difference between a pocket passer and a dual threat, it's night and day, because pocket passers, they typically have all the things that make a great quarterback in the NFL great, like, the accuracy, making the right reads, just going through their progressions, all that stuff, and it seems like these dual threats, they don't have that ability to do that stuff, So in the case of RG3, if he's going to make a difference, then he needs to go back to his style of play that he was when he was a rookie, being that dual threat, because RG3 can throw. He does have an arm. He can throw the ball. But it's just a matter of him going back to his style of play that made him the Rookie of the Year in his rookie season.
Well, like I said, I think this season he was going to be similar to what he was in his rookie season. Because if you remember in his rookie season, he showed a lot of confidence before the regular season was on the way. And this year he was kind of doing the same thing. So I don't know. I guess Jay Gruden got frustrated and impatient with him. I mean, I know he got like a concussion or something, right? Is that part of why they benched him? Yeah. So he got another concussion and Jay Gruden was like, screw this. I'm going with Kirk Cousins for the season. But I mean, I guess I can understand why they want to bench RG3, especially after having a concussion again. But remember, this is football. Concussions are going to happen all the time. It's not like Kirk Cousins is immune to having concussions. He's going to have some concussions too if he gets a bad hit. So again, Jay Gruden, he can't be this cruel with RG3. And even before RG3 had that concussion, he was already talking bad to RG3 and disrespecting him and making him look like he's not a star player and all this. So again, I just don't like how that whole process went down. To me, it feels like, they were waiting for something like this to happen just so they can stick it to RG3. I think they emasculated him. I think they don't want anything to do with RG3. Now, if you were to tell me that the whole plan along was to have RG3 as a starter and go forward with a plan with him, and then he got concussed, and then you bench him, that makes more sense. But to me, this sounds like even before he got the concussion, the Redskins just did not want him to start at all. So to me, RG3 is a victim here. I'm sorry, but it's just fair.
Well, that's the thing. Jay Gruden already committed to having RG3 as a starting quarterback for the year. He already did that. He already committed to Robert. And now he benches him, and now they're committed to Kirk Cousins, It just doesn't make much sense, I mean, yeah, you might be worried about whether or not you can play a full 16-game season, and perform well. But at the same time, you're not going to find that out unless you give him a chance, I don't know. But yeah, let's transition to the next topic. The Bills have made a decision on who their starting quarterback's going to be for this season, and it's going to be Tyrod Taylor, who was the kind of the dark horse candidate to win the position. It was a three-way competition between Matt Castle, E.J. Manuel, and Tyrod Taylor. I think this is an interesting decision by Rex Ryan to go at Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor, he was the backup Joe Flacco for 4 seasons in Baltimore, and I like Tyrod Taylor. I think he's got potential, and I'm interested to see how well he gels with this Bills offense, who has quite the supporting cast, if I do say so myself. They have Sammy Watkins, the sophomore receiver, who has great potential, in my opinion. Percy Harvin, who came over in free agency. And then they have LaShawn McCoy, who they got from the Philadelphia Eagles in a trade that involved Kiko Alonso. And they have Charles Clay, the tight end that they got in free agency from the Miami Dolphins. So, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how well Tyrod Taylor commends this offense. He said that he's been waiting for an opportunity like this to come along. And that's the thing. Tyrod Taylor wanted to become a free agent because he wanted the chance to compete for a starting quarterback job somewhere. And Buffalo, was that place to give him his opportunity. And Rex Ryan knows Tyrod Taylor because, Rex Ryan was the defensive coordinator in Baltimore when Tyrod Taylor first came along. So, yeah, Rex Ryan kind of knew what Tyrod was all about, So now, Tyrod Taylor is getting that chance that he has been wanting. The question is now, is he going to be that guy that Buffalo needs at the quarterback position? I don't know. I mean, time will tell. I mean, Lucas, what do you think?
To me, the competition should have always been between E.J. Manuel and Matt Castle, just because both have more experience. I don't know, man. I don't know, because every time you get these quarterbacks that you think have some potential and you have them start, they turn out to be a bust, and they don't perform. And with Rex Ryan as the head coach for the Buffalo Bills, we all know he's a defensive genius, but when it comes to the offense, he's just not up there amongst one of the greatest offensive coaches in the league. So, you have Taylor as the quarterback now for the Bills, but it still brings in question marks because, I can't even name 5 good wide receivers that they have. They only have, Sammy Watkins as the top wide receiver on their team. I know they're gonna consist mostly on their running game this season because they have LaShawn McCoy. So LaShawn McCoy is probably going to have to do the backload for them and do more of the running of the offense for them. But I don't know. To me, this is a questionable move here because I just don't think that Rex Ryan is going to discipline Taylor to be the quarterback that he needs to be going forward. I could even see this guy potentially failing midway through the season. I don't know, man. With Rex Ryan as the head coach, I could see the Bills defense delivering, but I just don't think that their offense is going to be outstanding. Well, let me rephrase that. The running game is going to be great for Buffalo, but when it comes to quarterback play, I don't think it's going to be that good. We saw Rex Ryan and what happened with Geno Smith and Mark Sanchez down there, and even Tim Tebow, and that failed. To me, this is going to be another situation that happens like that, and I wouldn't be surprised if midway through the season we see quarterback competition in Buffalo, and the fans want either Matt Castle or EJ Manuel back to play for Buffalo. That's what I see happening. I don't think it's a guaranteed spot for Taylor right now. I think it's a temporary spot, but I don't think it's a permanent spot. Yeah, he's going to have to fight for it through the season as well, because I guarantee to you that Buffalo, after 1 or 2 games of bad performances from this guy, they're going to want a new quarterback. So to me, he's not somebody that I would cross my arms on and say, he's legit. That's what I'm just saying.
Well, that thing's unproven. So, yeah, I mean, they're giving him this opportunity to see what he can do. If he takes it and hits a home run, then the Bills have a future franchise quarterback on their hands. But yeah, I mean, in the preseason, Matt Castle did not play well at all. EJ Manuel did, so I mean, it was literally down the stretch, it became a two-way competition between EJ Manuel and Tyrod Taylor. Matt Castle just threw himself out of the equation pretty much with his poor play. So, yeah, I mean, Matt Castle is not the guy for Buffalo, clearly. But is it E.J. Manuel or is it Tyrod Taylor? We're going to have to find that out for ourselves when we get to the season.
Yeah, E.J. Manuel, to me, they should have kept and trust, because I feel like the more confidence and the more trust they build into E.J. Manuel, the more comfortable he's going to be being the starting quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. So I just don't understand why they just want to change things up there in Buffalo. I mean, every year, don't they have a new quarterback, the Bills? I know they had Ryan Fitzpatrick for a while, but, ever since Ryan Fitzpatrick left, it's like they're always switching up on quarterbacks now. And I remember that one season where they had 2 quarterbacks go out with an injury. Remember that? And, they had to get 3 different quarterbacks in 1 year just to play for the Bills. So to me, they've never had a sure bet on quarterback. I don't know if that starts this season going forward with Taylor, but I'm picturing it right now. I just don't see this guy. I could see 1 year from now the Bills are once again discussing who their new quarterback should be. It's always like that in Buffalo, so I don't know, man. But EJ Manuel out of the 3 has always shown potential. And at least from all 3 of them, we've seen what he can do. And, he's good when he's good. He plays at his best when he's on his game. So it's not like he's terrible. It's just that the injuries have kept him out and other unfortunate circumstances that have cost him to be on the sideline. But this guy, EJ Manuel, he's pretty good. I don't know why Rex Ryan didn't put his money on him, because, with the duo there, the combination of him and Sammy Watkins, I mean, that could make up for some great things. And then him and LaShawn McCoy, I mean, that would be an unpredictable offense, because EJ Manuel can run with the football too. So you have him running, and then you have LaShawn McCoy running. Defense is not going to know what to expect. So to me, I just like that combination more right there.
Well, Tyrod Taylor can scramble too. But back on EJ Manuel, this was a kid.
Exactly.
This was a kid who was a projected 4th-round pick, was taken in the 1st round by the Buffalo Bills. So, yeah, they put all their eggs in one basket with him. And so the expectation bar was really high when he was drafted. So, yeah, I think that was too fast for a projected 4th-round selection. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think he's good. But the thing about it is he's been injured. And last year, Doug Marrone benched him for Kyle Orton, an over-the-hill backup quarterback, And I think that really killed his confidence, I mean, that would
exactly.
That would really make me mad, So, yeah, I mean.
And what was the reason for benching him? I mean, he did it, I don't recall what he did wrong. What I know Kyle Orton, and I'll give this to them. Kyle Orton did do good with the Bills last season. He did. He had great games. But again, EJ Manuel is the future. Kyle Orton has been around forever. He's not going to be around for another 15 years. Whereas EJ Manuel, he's young, still an upcomer. I would have kept building him up. So as years go by, he learns from experience, he learns the game more and he gets better. But because they benched him last season, it's like you said, that destroyed his confidence. Now he has to start over from scratch. And that's not going to get him any better by doing that. That's just going to slow him down and give him setbacks. And now once again, they're giving him a setback. So if, God forbid, anything goes wrong with Taylor here, who are they going to start? E.J. Manuel? Well, then if they put in E.J. Manuel, it's not guaranteed that he's going to perform as well either or do good because, he's been benched and he has to start from scratch. So you can't expect immediate results from E.J. Manuel as well. So it's a mess when they do that. I just don't like when they switch up quarterbacks every year. To me, they got to have one guy to stick with. And it's not like E.J. Manuel was the worst guy they could have gone with.
Right, definitely. I mean, the kid has potential, but I don't know. I don't know if Rex Ryan sees it or not. I think he does, but I just think he's more confident with Taylor than he is with anybody else at this point. And Tyrod Taylor has put on strong preseason performances, But again, that's preseason. How is it going to translate to the regular season? That's the thing, Yeah, you can
handle the pressure.
Right, you can outperform Matt Castle, which is not hard to do, and you can outperform E.J. Manuel. But can you get it done in the regular season? That's the thing. We'll have to see.
And you also have to question the maturity and the leadership. I know E.J. Manuel certainly has that, so.
Right, and I think Tyrod Taylor has it too because he comes off as a humble, what am I trying to say? A humble, right-minded individual. Yes, he comes off as that, but hopefully he can stay that way, from here on out. All right, let's go on to the next subject. Julius Thomas, the All-Pro tight end who plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars, may miss the first 4 to 5 games of the season because he has a detached tendon in his finger, and it may require surgery. So yeah, big blow to the Jaguars offense. He's supposed to get the surgery done to repair the tendon in his finger, and he may miss the first 4 to 5 games of the season. And here's the thing, do you think it was a mistake for Julius Thomas to not re-sign with the Denver Broncos and go to the Jaguars? I surely think it was. Because with Denver, you were playing for a Super Bowl contender every year. And now you're going to a team who, quite frankly, just what do you describe the Jaguars? I'm not saying they're the worst team in the NFL, but they're right up there, So let me ask you this. Do you think it was a mistake for Julius Thomas to go to the Jaguars?
Of course, man, but as anything happens in these days now, players go for the money, and that's basically what Julius Thomas went after, the money here by going to the Jaguars. And I guess he saw some promise as well because of, the quarterback that they have now and everything. But Jacksonville has always been a mess, and it's never going to change. So yeah, I agree. I agree, man. I think he made the wrong move by choosing to go to Jacksonville. A guy like that, after coming off some great seasons in Denver with Peyton Manning, you would figure that a lot of teams would want him, top teams. And of all the teams he wants to go to Jacksonville, come on, man. You should be setting your standards higher than that and wanting to play for a championship team, not a team like the Jaguars. I don't know why, he even thought of this. He was a top marketable free agent, and he just decides to go to Jacksonville of all teams. And, that's not going to market him at all because Jacksonville is not even a marketing region to begin with. So when it comes to marketing, when it comes to, winning, those are two things that I could just scratch off the list that are not there for Jacksonville for this guy, Julius Thomas. He's a beast, and he needed to play for a team that's going to give him that beast mode mentality that he has. But he's not going to have that in Jacksonville. And now he's out with an injury. And this is also screwy on Jacksonville's part because they invested so much into this guy. Now he's out with an injury. And they probably invested on him. They probably relied on this guy so much now what do they have? I mean, all they have now is Bortles. I mean, what are they going to do now without Julius Thomas? Do they have other wide receivers? Do they have other weapons they can go with in Jacksonville? That's the question we don't know.
Right, because they have so much young talent over there, unproven young talent. And, yeah, because that's what Jacksonville's comprised of, a bunch of young players who are unproven. So, yeah, we'll just have to see what happens in Jacksonville. But, yeah, it's a blow to this offense for sure, because they were hoping for big things with Julius Thomas. And now he's out with an injury. You know, he's going to miss the first 4 to 5 games. So, yeah, you don't know what kind of impact he could have potentially made in those first 4 to 5 games. Yeah,
right.
In the red zone. This is the segment in the show where we talk about controversial topics and, you know, just stuff of that nature, and plus, you know, miscellaneous news topics. And for In the Red Zone, we're going to talk about the Tom Brady versus the NFL Deflategate scandal, and because it was in the news again this week. The NFL and Tom Brady did not reach a settlement in the case, and the 4-game suspension is still in play. Apparently, Tom Brady was open to serving a 1-game suspension for not cooperating with Ted Wells' investigation. And, well, I mean, to be perfectly honest with everybody, I feel like Tom Brady deserves to serve a 4-game suspension because he knew what was going on. You know, he knew that something wasn't right. You know, he knew what was happening. But at the same time, he didn't say anything, and he just, he had knowledge of what was happening. But at the same time, he did not cooperate fully with investigators. He denied everything. So, I mean, he did not cooperate with the NFL or the investigation. So, he deserves to get suspended, you know, because it was really controversial what happened, you know, with that game. Because the balls were deflated, which gave the Patriots a competitive edge. But honestly, I don't think the deflated balls, you know, really had that much of an impact on the outcome of the game because the Colts was just, you know, their performance was just terrible. But I think Tom Brady's punishment is justified. I think it's justified, and I think he deserves to serve that 4-game suspension. Lucas, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think Tom Brady deserves to serve the 4-game suspension, and at this point, they should just close the whole deal out. Stop doing this court stuff, you know, just get to the basics and cut right down to the chase and say that Tom Brady, you know, his suspension is not going to be overruled or it's not going to be reduced. Just leave it to 4 games. I mean, come on, it's pathetic at this point. Season is 1 week away from starting, and, you know, they're expected to go to court again, I think, this Friday, and they're going to have another session. What's the point of this? You know, if nothing has been decided yet, what makes you think that from now until Friday something is going to be overturned? I mean, they just keep doing these settlements and nothing is agreed yet. You know, nothing is coming out of it. So in my opinion, it's going to remain the same. Brady should just give up, serve the 4-game suspension like a man. It's not like he's going to be out for the whole season. I don't know why this guy is making such a big deal about missing 4 games. I mean, the Patriots are a playoff caliber team with or without Brady anyway because Bill Belichick is a great head coach. So I don't think Brady has that to worry about. If he's just simply worried about like his legacy being ruined and the fact that he just wants to play football, I can understand that. But again, it's just 4 games. There's 16 games throughout the season plus the playoffs. You know, you're going to get your share of games in, Brady. So calm down. You know, I don't think he has to overreact to this. And, you know, to me, the 4-game suspension is justified, like you said. He didn't want to cooperate with the Wells investigation, you know, and, you know, in my opinion, if you don't want to cooperate with the investigation, that makes you guilty. You know, that means you have something that you're holding back that you don't want to share. And that to me is evidence that you did something wrong, because why else wouldn't you want to take part of the investigation? And on top of that, you know, let's just talk about the integrity of the game here and the business aspect of it. let's just say, Brady didn't cheat or he wasn't a part of the deflation of the footballs, but he knew something about it. He still was a part of that, and you just can't have that in the football league. You can't have Brady there playing games when you know that he took part or he knew something about the Deflategate. He was the one that won the Super Bowl. Remember that. The Patriots won the Super Bowl. So you had to come strong on Brady for this because, otherwise people are going to look at the Super Bowl and say that was a fluke win or it was a fake win. It wasn't legitimate. They cheated, and that ruins the legacy and the reputation and the prestige of the NFL, ruins everything the Super Bowl stands for, and you just can't have that. So that's why I feel like the NFL is coming hard on Brady because they're trying to protect their reputation, trying to protect their league, trying to protect the Super Bowl and everything. Because if you don't suspend him and you just have him go out there and play games, people are going to question that. They're going to be like, well, wait a minute. He might have not cheated, but he knew something about the Deflategate and he's still out there playing. So what does that say for the Super Bowl win that they had this past season? People are going to look at that and say, I don't think I can say that the Patriots are the official Super Bowl champs because Brady knew something about the Deflategate. That's why, whether or not he was part of the deflation, he knew about it. Period. I don't care what anybody says. Brady knew about it, even if he wasn't the guy that set it up, even if he wasn't the guy that deflated the footballs, even if he wasn't the guy that told the person to deflate the footballs. He knew something about it. And if you know something about it, you're just as guilty, in my opinion. And, again, he was the most recent Super Bowl champion. You have to come strong on that because you can't, I understand if, he didn't win the Super Bowl and you gave him a suspension and then it gets reduced. In that aspect, it makes sense because it doesn't seem like a big deal. But he won the Super Bowl. Remember that. Because he won the Super Bowl, this thing becomes a bigger deal for the NFL because then everybody's going to look at that. And I've said that a million times, I know, but it's true. So that's why you have to come down on him because it ruins the reputation of the game if he gets reduced to 2 games or he's not suspended at all. Everyone's going to look at the Super Bowl and say that wasn't real, that was fake, they cheated, I'm never watching the Super Bowl again. So just think about it from Roger Goodell's perspective and the NFL's perspective. If this thing was to be reduced or to be overruled and then they had to shoot themselves in the foot for it, that's basically what this is about. So I agree. I think that the 4-game suspension is definitely justified.
Right. And like you said, the integrity of the game is important because, the NFL does not want a reputation where, teams just cheat to win, And the Patriots, they have had a history of controversy because the Deflategate is not the only thing that they got caught up in. Spygate, remember that? Spygate, that was another big issue too because they were videotaping defensive coaches in their signals and using those against them. So the Patriots have had a history of trying to get the one up on their opponents. And here we go again with Deflategate. It's just a never-ending cycle with the New England Patriots. Because they have this history of being cheaters. And Bill Belichick and Tom Brady have been labeled as the biggest cheaters out there. So, the NFL has every right to do what they're doing with Tom Brady and him serving this 4-game suspension. And you mentioned, too, that with him having knowledge and not saying anything, he's just as guilty. That'd be like you, me, let's just, use our friends as examples, Adam and Sean. Let's just say Adam and Sean stole from a convenience store or whatever. Let's just say they stole like a bunch of food and stuff like that and drinks and pop and all that stuff from a convenience store. And you and I saw them do it. And if we lied to investigators, that can get us in trouble too because we lied and we did not cooperate with their investigation. So Brady's guilty here because he refused to cooperate with the investigation. So there you have it.
Exactly. So that's basically it.
Touchdown. And this is the segment where we're going to wrap up the show and talk about what we expect for the coming week of NFL action. We're heading to the final week of the preseason. Lucas, you wanted to break down the Giants versus the Patriots. I'll take it over to you.
Well, I expect in this game here between the Giants and the Patriots for Eli Manning to bounce back and get his game going heading into the regular season. I don't think he's going to have two bad performances back to back. He's a veteran quarterback, so he knows what he's doing. I expect him to bounce back, and I don't know, I'm not making a prediction for who's going to win or lose because that really doesn't matter to me. I'm just looking at the performances for the players. So I expect Eli Manning to bounce back. I think the offense will improve. I also expect Odell Beckham Jr. to look more aggressive because in the last game, what he tried to do with Darrelle Revis there, and he was intimidating him and trying to, soften him up. So I expect him to be more physical in the next game and basically get himself going for the regular season. And I think that's good for Odell Beckham Jr. because a lot of people are saying, is this guy just a one-hit wonder and he's not going to have a consistent season this season? Well, he's out to prove something again. So, I think Odell Beckham Jr., it's important for him to perform well in this upcoming game against the Patriots and stay healthy and stay strong. Same thing with Eli Manning, and we'll just wait and see what happens. And as far as the Patriots backup quarterback, he's doing fine with his job right now. So I expect good things from him too. Belichick always knows how to manage his team, so it's not going to be a blowout game, that's for sure. And I think both teams are going to have positive sides to them this upcoming week.
All right. And I'll talk about the Ravens and the Falcons. They've already said that most of our starters are not going to play, and that's a smart move, because we've had a string of injuries as of late. And but yeah, last week with the Redskins, there was a huge fight that broke out. Kamar Aiken, one of our wide receivers, he caught the ball, and a Redskins linebacker went in for a tackle, and Powell drove his head into the turf, and that caused a big fight. Steve Smith and Chris Culver both got ejected, and John Harbaugh went over to the sideline to get his players back to their side. And Jay Gruden had a problem with that, and Harbaugh got into his face and started yelling at him. Yeah, it was it was quite a controversy there. But for this week, we're just gonna kind of take it easy, rest our starters and give our backups a shot, just give them an opportunity to show what they can do, as we get down to the final cut down of the roster from 75 players to 53. And yeah, so I expected to take them take it easy for the final week of the preseason. We're just right at this point. We're just ready for week one, and that's pretty much all there is to it. But yeah, as far as overall for week 4, I think most teams are just gonna kind of take it easy. They're not gonna try to risk their starters being hurt or anything like that. We may see some starters play a quarter, maybe a half, maybe just 2 series, just get a little bit of action in there. But yeah, for the most part, guys are just going to take it easy for this week.
Right, and in week 4, pretty much the evaluations come in, the cuts, and who makes the official roster and everything comes in. So week 4 is basically just going to be an evaluation week and an evaluation game. That's pretty much it. I think the only starters that are going to play for week 4 are those that have something to prove because of week 3 having a weak performance. Those are pretty much going to be the only starters that probably play. But as far as the starters that have been doing good overall, they're probably just going to sit this one out because they've already proven in the preseason that, they're red hot and they're ready. Like I said, Eli Manning, I expect him to start because he has something to prove and, he has to gain some momentum heading into the regular season. So I see him starting for sure. But yeah, overall week 4 is just going to be, a bunch of regular games, people sitting out, relaxing, and taking it easy. Unless, of course, you're struggling and you need something to bounce back with. Week 4 is going to do that for you, and then you have some confidence for week 1 in the NFL. And that's pretty much all I can say. We'll see how Kirk Cousins does in week 4 for the Redskins. I think he's definitely going to start, and I guarantee you, if it's not pretty, it's not going to go down well for Kirk Cousins heading into the regular season.
definitely, no doubt. And, well, that's pretty much going to wrap up the show for this week. I'd like to thank all of you for watching us on The Drive. And, Lucas, do you have any closing comments or statements?
Closing comments. Just stay tuned for next week, week 2. We're definitely going to get better. We're going to come stronger next week because it's the official week for week 1 of the regular season here in the NFL. We're going to have some game highlights, game results, all of that good stuff. Well, actually, no. Yeah, that's an error because next week the official season starts on Thursday, September 10th. So we'll be recording one more show before the regular season. But in that week 2 episode that we put out, we're going to give our predictions for the week 1 games. So stay tuned for all of that. Our overall overview of what to expect during the season as far as final standings go at the end of the season and all of that good stuff. So yeah, week 2, definitely going to spark more discussion.
Definitely. Yeah, this is only just the start, guys. I mean, we're going to be bringing you content on a weekly basis. And, yeah, so just stay tuned, keep watching us, and the shows are going to get better as they go. But as far as any closing comments that I have to all the critics and the analysts out there that are freaking out just because Peyton Manning has not had one touchdown in the preseason, I think you guys need to calm down. It's the preseason. It's not the regular season. Just calm down.
He's Peyton Manning, damn it!
But all right. But yeah, that's going to close out the show for this week, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and until next week, peace out.